Here we are. It's another edition of Cougs Corner. It's brought to you by the Cougar Collective, your home base for all NIL opportunities, connecting student athletes, fans, and business owners. Joined today, hashtag Mighty by many, and supporting student athletes on and off the field. You can join the 1890 Club for as little as $18.90 a month. You can join for more. You can make one-time donations there as well. Also, you can go find and drink the Old Crimson Legendary Lager brewed by Pike Brewing. It's right behind me. All sales benefit Cougar Collective. And one lonely day, I will tap into those warm beers. You can visit cougarcollective.org. Also, Flat Stick Pub, Cougar owned and operated. Big thanks to Andy Largent for being a part of this. 6 amazing locations across the state: Kirkland, Pioneer Square, South Lake Union, Spokane, Bellingham, and Redmond. A great place to watch and cheer on the Cougs. Visit flatstickpub.com. In fact, I was there a few weeks ago after my son, as Coach Jake Dickert joins us once again during the bye week. When you guys were playing, we got done with our Pop Warner game, and so we went into the South Lake Union Flat Stick Pub, and we caught the second half of the Hawaii game. And I'm going to tell you right now, Flat Stick Pub, you know what they got? They got cake. They got great beer, Jake. They've got great wings. They've got great pizza. Underrated Huckleberry ice cream.
Really? Well,
who knew?
It's got to be from Ferdinand's. If you know, they're making their own.
They must be. I mean, if they're getting it from Ferdinand's, great. But it was unbelievable.
Oh,
I mean, when you're sitting there with your kid and you're drinking a beer and eating ice cream at the same time, I'm telling you, that's life right there.
Because the beer's behind you, in my family, that's called German style. We drink them warm every once in a while. We got a bunch of great uncles that are straight German. You got to go German style on one. You're pretty tough.
Yeah, my mom's German, like from there, and I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's not good.
Yeah, the non-chilled beer. That's a rough look. That's a lot of commitment, Puck.
It is a lot of commitment. All right, hey, let's. I want to jump right in. Okay, before I get into San Diego State, I got to pull something up here, and hopefully you can see this. All right, you got to give me a second because I got to share my screen with you because I got a lot of questions. Okay, I got a lot of questions about what we're gonna show here. You got to just bear with me here.
I like your preparation. You're ready.
Yeah, I know. Well, listen. All right, you know, you got to be a smart ass here. Hold on. Where's it at? No, because I just got to remember how to do this. This is unbelievable. Do you see this?
I do.
I got a lot of questions here.
Yes.
Okay. If on the stream, if you're listening, I'm showing Jake and his family carved out pumpkins. I believe one of these pumpkins was murdered.
Well, it depends which one you're talking about. There's some. Okay.
This one. Look at this pumpkin. What happened to this guy?
So you come on. So you got to look at this from an artistic view, Puck. Like this is like a pirate that has like half of his face kind of trimmed off. These are war stains. This is creative genius at its best.
Okay.
So I thought a guy like you, Puck, that is just creative and edgy and like on top of the cutting edge of pumpkin carving technology would understand this creative genius that you see here.
Is that your handiwork or is that one of the boys?
No, that's actually my daughter.
That's your daughter.
She looks up this deal and she recreates them, and I get the honor of cutting the tops off and scraping the sides. Now, that's a free-handed one there. That middle one you saw.
The middle one, that's a good one. I like it.
This is good. This is like, you know, the mouth's not quite centered with the eyes. Like this is real craftsmanship right here. I love this one.
The third one's real good.
The third one's good. So my son draws it. My wife does a lot of the detailed carving. You can see a nice female touch to that. The nice detail to it. The eye's great. This one might win it, in my opinion, if I'm being honest.
You guys keep the pumpkin seeds and roast them?
Oh, we did. With the great spices. I like them nice and salty, a little peppery. I got a whole batch of them. They're healthy for you too, Puck, if you don't know.
Are they really? Okay.
It's one of these superfoods now. You're a superfood guy.
Yeah, I'm a big you can tell, big superfood guy right there. Just bread and beer. Those are superfoods, right?
Oh, they're the best. You miss cheese. Cheese and beer actually is the best superfood you could possibly have.
What are the kids going as for costumes, Halloween?
We have a skeleton that lights up. We've been kind of illuminating that thing, so it's going to light up. We have the Grim Reaper. Heck of a costume, like eyes through the deal. And we have, I think my daughter is going to be a cheerleader, I believe. So, the days of the homemade costume, Puck, we've lost that art. Like that, to buy the costumes, it's just not the same thing as what we used to have.
But I agree, but I do find satisfaction, a little bit of love of the real crappy ones, the plastic masks and the like the skeleton outfit that just, it's all going to break, but it's just, with the real stringy, that's holding that mask together, that if you snap it too much, it's going to break. I find comfort in that.
Well, there's the art to the Palouse Halloween. Like your costume has to fit a winter jacket underneath. Like, you know what I mean? It's got to fit some leggings. There's some art to this, Puck, that you got to be able to handle when bye week's perfect time. I get to take them trick or treating.
Oh, it's great.
I get to hand out the candy bars. Like there's an art to it, but there's also the adult cooler in the wagon. You know how that goes.
Well, that's the most important thing about Halloween, and I don't know when it started. Maybe it was happening when I was a kid, and I just didn't pay attention to it. But every house, like in our neighborhood, every house. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. It's like, the kids go up there. Now, I'm not going to walk with my kids anymore. My son's in 6th grade, so we're done. Yep. I'm not allowed to go anymore. But I want to go out because I want to go back to some of these houses that have like mudslide shots, Jello shots. I mean, all of it. I mean, that's the best.
You a big decorate your outside like Halloween guy? Like you got stuff around the house?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, we dabble in it, but there's some people around town that, man, they create these things, and it's pretty crafty. I give them credit.
Thursday's a rough day because now you're expecting these kids to go back to school on Friday. That's no fun.
It is no fun. I did my wife a bad one. I put out on the radio show that she had to have full-size candy bars. Like, there's the pressure is immense. Like, she is not happy with me. I'm in the doghouse right now.
What's your favorite one? The Dickert go-to candy?
Oh, I'm going to throw a spin on you here. I'm a caramello guy. You ever have a caramello?
Oh, yeah, but you don't hear that mentioned a lot.
Yeah, that and paydays. I'm just telling you, those are the two that take me to the next level. I mean, the simple ones like peanut butter cups, but I am a caramello guy through and through.
Okay, and I can't remember, can you get those full size?
Oh, we get them full size, absolutely. I had one after the Apple Cup this year.
Okay, good. All right, so San Diego State, great gutty win. What would you describe it? You talked about the cardiac Cougs afterwards. You're going to get everyone's best shot, especially from these Mountain West teams, but they looked good, and then you got into a little bit of a rut, but again, you find yourselves pulling it out one more time.
Well, I think you see a very resilient football team, and we're never going to apologize for winning, Puck. I know how it goes. You don't win, everyone's mad. You don't win by enough, everyone's mad. You win by a lot, everyone says that's what you're supposed to do. So winning on the road's hard. They had 2 weeks to prepare for us. We ended up playing on a beach. Like, I don't think there was actually grass on that field. We played on a beach. And it was just one of those things where we had to overcome and got off to a hot start. We relaxed a little bit, and you saw very urgent football at the end. The message is that's the way we need to play for 4 quarters. And, but we got a very resilient team that believes that we can get the outcome we need, and it came away that way. And once again, they only worry about being 1-0, and should be very, very proud of ourselves heading into the bye week.
You talked to the officials. You talked to the San Diego State at all before the game started? When you see the field, you're warming up on it. I mean, was there ever discussion, hey, this isn't suitable to play on?
Well, you could see it in the Hawaii game. You could. And my belief was they had 3.5 weeks to get it right. And I was like, okay, through watering and all kinds of things, I believe they shouldn't be allowed to play a home field game there. At this level, they should not be allowed to play on that surface. And it was way worse than I anticipated. Even watching it back on the film, it was way worse than I saw it in real time. So both teams play on it. I guess that's the only thing you could say. But it was really an unplayable surface. And trust me, you ever been to Crookston, Minnesota? Okay, because I'm talking about playing in a hayfield, like Division II, like bad stuff. I would take that over what we just played on.
I mean, it looked like, your municipal golf course that you just had sanded the greens.
Yeah, and, without aerating it. So it's just sitting on top of it.
Yeah.
And So I'm not sure exactly what the deal is. I know they also play soccer there and they have a lot of events, but they got to reevaluate what that looks like because the Holiday Bowl is now there for the first year. And it's going to take a lot to make sure that thing is way better and suited for major college football.
And I would hope that within the 2 years that they join the conference that it's figured out. I mean, that's enough time. But,
I would think so. Think so. So I'm not exactly sure the solutions. I'm not a agriculture expert, but we got to get something better than that to play big time football with.
Because it presents an injury. It presents an injury concern for your players and their players.
Yeah, I think when it gets that bad, I mean, the consensus out there is grass is safer, it's easier on the body, but it also is way more inconsistent than turf. Like turf, you know what you're getting. Like you just know what you're getting. And, so it ends up being a situation where I think you see some injuries, guys falling down, slipping, all that type of stuff, and it turns into a hazard that, you just don't need.
In a weird way, I wonder if it helped you on the Mateer scramble late. Because their guys couldn't get it. I wonder if they just couldn't get their footing and get quite a grasp on him, and he was able to slip away. I mean, it was just
what a play! I mean, you're talking about an iconic, legendary get out of it. He was about an inch away from splitting that guy and taking it to the house too.
Yeah.
So it was just an incredible play, but it just kind of mirrors what John's heart is, and the reason we keep coming back is because he refuses to lose. So just his mentality and makeup and mindset is so gritty and tough. It's really cool because I think your team starts to embody that. And when you got that guy behind you, you're never out of a game.
You at times can come across, Jake is this easy going, next door neighbor, crack a beer, we're going to have a fun time. But then there's this other side. I wonder if there's an alter ego of this other side of Jake Dickert. And
I'm a competitor now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We saw it come out. And not the first time I've seen it, I think, publicly on the sideline like that. And this is not a comment because I'll give you my thoughts on it. I loved it, by the way.
Yeah.
And that's not just because you're on here. I mean, I'm of a certain age. I mean, I'm older than you, but I'm 48. I mean, this is I don't think there's an issue with yelling. I know we call them kids still. I mean, they're adults, but they're kids. I get it. I don't think there's an issue with it. I don't think it means that you're demeaning them or you don't like them. But sometimes somebody needs to get, you got to get a little red ass on some people, and it's okay. But I hadn't seen you like that. You later apologized, I think, to Dean, but what happened with both Dean and John, and what got you so fired up in both those situations?
Well, I think there's two unique situations, and I would say, Puck, you need to come to practice a little more. It's not the first time the guys have seen it. I would say that. It was funny. One day in spring, Jack Thompson was out at practice, and we just didn't have it. We didn't have it. And you could see it right when they came walking out. And, we're practicing at 6:45 in the morning. And it was one of those deals right in the middle. I just stopped practice, and we just started doing up downs. And you need that. You need to. Okay, you need to. And you can't be like that every day. But we talk about, everyone says tough love. We love tough. Love comes first, but we're tough. We're accountable. I really am a firm believer as a coach. Kids crave accountability, but they don't always like it. And that isn't always fun. And that what makes football hard and tough, but you grow from that. Right? I got plenty of times, A, my dad chewing my ass, B, a coach chewing my ass, and I needed it at that time. Okay, in all those situations and circumstances. The one thing I said about the Dean interaction is that, I got to keep my cool too, right? Because you can't let in life, outside situations and circumstance, affect your emotional control. We talk about it all the time. So that's all it was in that instance. But at the same time, we won the football game. It was over. Thought the personal foul would make us go out there and re-kick. It ended up being offsetting. Right. And it's a teachable moment and a correctable moment. John's situation was very hectic between me trying to get the ref understand that he did not slide, he slipped. Okay. And it looked like he kind of slid. He was convincing us an hour that, heck, it was not a slide. The side judge gave him the first down. Then the other side judge pulled it back. Then they reviewed it. Right. We were going to go for that puck. Right. And I was getting those guys fired up to say, hey, we're 4th and inches. We're going for the win. Right. So there's a lot happening in those emotional moments of the football game that you got to try to manage.
But did you So you didn't think he was trying to slide, or did you think he was trying to slide? And was your, because I took it away like, hey man, like we want you to protect yourself, but the game's on the line. I need you to put the shoulder down.
Yeah, I think John, when it looked like a slide, right, initially.
Yeah,
and then I think as he, I brought him off and he explained it to me, he was trying to split him and just like everybody else lost his footing, right?
Yeah.
So it happened. He clearly had the first down when you look at the tape on Monday when we watched it. So, but yeah, I mean, that's an important down right there. And I thought they had the spot right. Then they moved it wrong. They corrected it and we got it. So that was a big moment in the football game that we were fighting for.
There's this video that is circulated after the game. I'm not sure if you've seen it. Well, you meet John inside the tunnel, and there seems and now that we're all expert video, sleuths out here trying to see what happened. It seems like this exchange, and some feel like, that maybe they weren't on the same page. What was happening? He says something, and then it looks like Mateer barks back. I mean, I know you guys like to keep everything internal. I get it, but was there anything there? Did he feel that he didn't like you yelling at him when on the field and let you know about it?
No, hell no. We're just two competitive guys enjoying the moment. And John's an ultra competitor. There's no ill will or barking back. There was a situation we were handling there kind of internally that has nothing to do with me and John. And there's a lot of things that happen in a football game. I love John. John loves me. We're competitive. We're very similar now. At the end of the day, we're very similar. So there's nothing to that. I was joking with him. John kind of made a joke back at me. It is what it is. We enjoy it.
You get, I think us like fans, I like to call the normal people, right? The normal people. We get lost sometimes when like behavior like that is abnormal in society, right? And I was thinking about there was a play the next day of the Seahawks game. And I don't know if you watched it or not or saw it, but there's two defenders for the Seahawks because there was a late hit, and they're yelling, they're going at each other. Two teammates. In fact, it was so bad that an offensive lineman, I've never seen this before, for the other team, the Bills, had to break it up on the two Seahawks defender players.
Yeah, that's the first.
And and fans and people react, and the media reacts. Oh my God, this you can't have. This type of behavior can't happen. And I'm like, I mean, if you played any level of sports, whatever it was, I mean, this stuff happens all the time. Well, doesn't mean they hate each other or they're angry. It's just you guys play, especially football. It is such an ultra competitive, high octane, emotional sport, and the on and off switch is real difficult to turn that on and off at times.
Well, I always use the analogy. I mean, I guess your family, Puck, has never argued or you've gotten in a fight with your brother or, like disagreed with your parents or, I mean, we're a 120 young men family, plus coaches, plus everything else. And I've dealt with more things sometimes in the, 3-year time of being a head coach than, what the public would ever imagine. And sometimes it plays out in real time. Emotions are involved. I mean, we talk about, staying out of the bucket. I got a little analogy. You take a sponge, when you get frustrated, you can dip a little bit in that bucket and come out. You do a quick rinse, you're good. You're back to normal. But if you submerge yourself in that frustration, all that sponge does is just soak it all in. And you pull it out, and that frustration is just dripping everywhere. So it's a great illustration of like emotional control and stability, right? To become a man, say this all the time to our guys. Okay, you need discipline and emotional stability. Okay, really big time. Right? If you want to mature in your life from 18 to 24, the time we get them, like you need those two things. So it's an emotional game. That's why it's so special. Like you don't get to our age, Puck, and go to the YMCA and play football. Like you don't. Like when it's over, right? I mean, it's over. That's what makes it so special because you can't do it. And there's a lot that goes into it, and there's a lot of sacrifice in being part of a team. That there is going to be disagreements and fights. And like, I mean, sometimes you love that as a competitor, like, heck yeah, we got to fight in practice today. I know that sounds crazy, but there's a competitive edge every once in a while. You want to make sure these guys are living and breathing. So those things happen. You talk it out. They can't continue. And you got to leave that situation sometimes even more united than when you walked into it.
How much do you at times, I mean, from the time when the game is over to the time that you talk to the press, give or take is what, 20 minutes?
Yeah, that's fair.
Do you wish it was longer?
Sometimes. I mean, but at the end of the day, like, that's really me. I want you to, like, that's really me. I'm sometimes emotional. I'm ultra competitive. I take responsibility for everything. If our team doesn't operate correctly, like, I'm the first one to look in the mirror and say, I didn't do it right. I didn't prepare them right. I take my job very seriously. And sometimes you just get, raw emotion. The last year's deal went viral for the Corso thing. Like, that was just raw emotion. Yeah. The next day or an hour later, would I have said that? Probably not.
Yeah.
But hey, sometimes that happens, and I'm 41 years old and I'm learning every day.
I almost thought you were going to go into the Mike Gundy. I'm 41, and I'm a man. God, that would have been great. We would have had another viral moment on our hands. I mean, does someone we know him, and Bill Stevens is the sports information director. Just think of him as a public relations. Does he grab you right after the game and be like, all right, let's just a deep breath. Here's what they're going to ask you. What do you if you need to vent? Like, if I were in that position, like, when this is all done, I don't know if I've ever told you this, I'm going to start the Puckett crisis firm, because I really think I could help a lot of coaches and players and a lot of people. I mean, it's so easy, and I could give the tutorials like that, how to answer and respond to questions. It'd be perfect. But like, if I were in that position, I was like, I'd pull you aside and I said, just yell at me for 10 minutes. Whatever it's pissed you off at the game, just yell at me, get it out. Yeah. Does he do anything like that? Any tricks like that?
Bill's pretty good with me. He is, because I just know he's been through it with Mike Leach. Like, he has had a tough go. So I try to be as little a problem with him as I ever have. And he's the best soldier you can have around you. And ultra positive, very calming. He'll tell me to take a moment. You know, let's take a moment. Let's stay back here in the holding room for a minute. Yeah. Let's drink on that Diet Coke that I like. And let's take a few sips before we get out there.
Because you don't want to say the wrong thing.
Well, I'm never worried about that. I'm really not worried about that, Puck, because what I say I feel, and what I feel I mean. I do. And I think there's an equality that hopefully is relatable, to people. Like, hey, I've been there. I've done that, and it just makes it real. I mean, so I guess I've never been media trained. Like, I'm a math guy. I studied like differential equations. So like this whole thing is new to me, and I just do it the way I feel like is authentic to me.
I'll come on over. You guys can pay me. I'll put you guys through a 15-minute class. It'd be the best thing in the world. Just easy. You got to kill them with kindness, and then they get off your back. I mean, that's just the way to do it. How much in the way that coaches interact with players? Just kind of going back to the earlier. How much has that changed from when you played and then to where it's at now?
Well, I think in a good way. Our guys know that we're in partnership with them. Like, I mean, this isn't some deal, just do as I say no matter what all the time, right? I think that's how we were kind of coached, like, hard-nosed, like all the time it was hard. I didn't really care what you thought. Mm-hmm. I crave feedback, but our guys need to understand, like, we're in this together. Our mistake is their mistake. So I think that's a little bit different deals. Like, we're in this thing together. We see the iPads. What are we doing? How are we putting them in position to succeed? So they're the biggest part of the game plan, Puck. I say that all the time. If you guys like something, let's hear it. I want to hear what you're seeing. Can you execute my thoughts? Like, a lot of times we just had to do what the coach said. Well, if the player can't execute it, as a coach, I'm not in a great position to have success, and then we're going to not succeed. So my biggest thing, Puck, is to get this generation to understand that it's not cool not to know the answer versus asking the question, right? So that's important for young people. They'd rather sit there, this generation, and not know the answer. Oof, put myself out there, say that I don't know. Well, come on, we got to get over that, guys. We got to have a mature learning environment. And if we can't have the ability in these, now business rooms instead of meeting rooms to learn, heck. And they got to be really, as a high performer, you really need to know how you learn. Okay. And I tell our coaches, don't coach how only you learn. Okay. I'm pretty like charts, and I see PowerPoints. Boom, I got it. No one really learns that way, right? You gotta sense it. You gotta see it. You gotta rep it. You gotta repeat it. That's how kids learn these days. And you got to give them all those sensory, options. So I think there's a lot to the learning process that kids need to understand. And these are business environments. So if you're a high performer and we trust you to go on the field, you better want to own your responsibility to execute and ask the questions so you know what you're doing.
I had a conversation this week with, and you've been on the show many times, John Canzano. He joins me. He joins me weekly on my show, and we were talking. It's like 20 minutes on preseason polls and how he can't stand preseason polls. It puts out these expectations of these teams. You later turn around, you get 6-7 weeks into the season, and you go, well, that team wasn't the eighth best team in the country. You see an example, and I'm not picking on this team, but you see an example like of Illinois. You guys are ranked now for the first time. You see an example of an Illinois team who gets beat pretty thoroughly by Oregon. They dropped 4 spots. They were 20th, now only down to 24th. What would, if you would advise the college football, they had control over these AP polls and coaches poll, when would you say it should come out? The first one.
Well, first off, they should go back to computers. Computers don't have favoritism, don't see logos. It's an imperfect system too, but so as a coach, I had a coach's poll last year. Okay, what do you do? And I don't know if this is bad, but like you put your conference teams up a little higher. You put a team that beat you a little higher. Like someone you beat, we put them in instead of keeping them out. Like as a sports writer, and I don't know like this exactly, but I would probably put teams in that I cover in my region, right? Make it more interesting, sell more. I think that's very natural. Who do you put at number one? The team that probably beat you, right? So those things are tough. And I didn't have a lot of time to circle through who beat who, when and where and how. I got the records, then you rank them, right? Army's 7-0, but Army hasn't played a winning team yet. Okay, so how do you sort that compared to this? Or, if you eliminated Indiana and just took their wins, are they really 13? Well, they might be way up there if they're a different logo. I mean, I think it's hard. In a human way, I don't think it should come out till week 9. Like I really do.
Oh, okay.
And because sometimes you get credit for early ranked wins, and then, well, geez, that team wasn't actually ranked, right? So it's like, okay, well, that's different, and how it all sorts out, I think, needs to be later. And I'm fine with the computer model, and I know it kind of benefits us this year maybe, but I just think it is. I think we're all biased in some way. So how do you not how do you avoid that? I'm not exactly sure.
You guys get a bye this week, so you don't have to play a game. So this is not a question that you can answer and then be like, well, I can't look ahead because there's no game to look ahead to. Do you get the team around Tuesday? Do you guys watch the college football playoff rankings? It comes out Tuesday. Do you guys pay attention to that?
I didn't even know when it came out, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
No, it was a good time today. We had a team meeting to take a pause. And I think it is okay as you go throughout your journey and you're working the little process of the minute to take a big picture snapshot. I think it's okay. And we did that today. Okay. To say we are 7-1, to say we have 4 amazing opportunities to do something that's really special here and create a lifelong memory for our team, and that's what's ahead of us. And that's really cool. But all it shows being ranked is that our process works. Our process works, guys. So why would we deviate from that? We've gotten here as a team. Let's not turn into a bunch of individuals. Like let's do the things that allowed us to create success, because Coach Saban said it, like success is momentary. You got to create. You got to still create it. And then the best teams want to keep getting better. So those are the things that we point at, that we'll work at this week. And all the other stuff is things that we can't control. So let's see where it lands and keep doing and focus on what we need to focus on.
If you would answer this next question, and if you would have the exact answer, you'd be like, well, we'll just do that. How do you get more production out of the running game? What do you need to see from, not from John, but from the running back specifically?
Yeah, I mean, I think running game is always a holistic thing of offense, and it's style, it's mentality, it's want to, it's how we get off the ball, it's amount of touches. Because what I've learned really in the last 3-4 years, because I grew up in pro style, under center, 22 personnel, running is rhythm, So Wayshawn touching the ball 9 times over the course of 4 quarters is tough, right? To get a rhythm as a runner. And we need to continue to work on that. But when we've been on our best, we've been able to run the football. And I think there's a mentality to that. And, I had a big conversation with the offensive staff. I mean, I asked them each, like, what is our identity on offense? What can we rely on? And, there was 5 different answers, right? And I think that's good. But we need to hone that as we go down the stretch and lean into our strengths, because we know what John is. We know what he can do really well. But we got to offset that and take some hits. John took a lot of hits in that game. Mm-hmm. And we got to give those running backs an opportunity, because I do believe we have talented guys in that room.
You said about your defensive tackle, Ansel Denbu, afterwards that the last 2 games he's been unblockable. You said that to Alex Brink in the postgame. 3 sacks against San Diego State. He's got 5.5 tackle for losses on the season, 4.5 sacks. It's been a minute since you've had, especially on the interior, like a real game wrecker. Yeah. What's kind of the ceiling for this guy?
It's really high. I mean, it's really high. Ansel, from a prestigious program like Aledo out of Texas, I mean, very rare to get a caliber player like that to get here and kind of sift under the cracks. Mm-hmm. Cool part about that story, Puck, is that he came in as a starter, and then after, I think, week 2 or 3, we actually benched him. Okay, he wasn't getting the production and playing the way he was capable of. And instead of tanking, instead of woe is me, right, he got tough and figured out and made the corrections. And we saw the type of player that he is now. He just wasn't seeing it and trusting it. Now he's doing his job. And it's amazing when the more you try just to do your job, the more plays you make. When you're searching for plays at that interior defensive line, you're peaking, you're high, you're not destroying blocks. So he really bought into what we were teaching him and what Coach Caligas has doing in that room, and he's really flourished, and he can be a real problem. And between him and David, if you can have 2 D tackles that are problems, you have an opportunity to win football games.
I asked what the kids were dressing up as, but what are you dressing up as? You got a costume or no?
No, I think the biggest cop-out ever is wearing a mask. And I love this Scream mask. I got a Scream mask, and it is like my favorite. And just because when I was growing up, like Scream, that trilogy, that was tough now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've had some creative costumes throughout my time, if I'm being honest with you, Puck. So
best one.
You got to keep it as easy as possible.
Best one.
Cool. I mean, without a doubt, like when I was 22 and I was dating my wife at the time, I wore all black, okay, and I stapled a bunch of paper cutouts of baby chicks to myself, and I went as a chick magnet, right? Like that's epic right there, Puck. Okay, and it was great. It was great, but you got to be creative. When I was in Kohler, Kohler's known for toilets. I went as a toilet one year. Like you got to get creative. Like you can't just sit there. Like those are home crafted deals. Like Jake the Snake Roberts. I've been Jake the Snake Roberts before. Like you got to go out there. Me and my brother were the Bushwhackers, I think, for one Halloween. So you got to enjoy those moments.
Now you guys got a lot of free time on your hands. Have you been able to at least get one episode of the Netflix series on McMahon? Vince McMahon. Oh, you got it.
I'm not a TV guy. Yeah.
Oh, you got it. But it sounds like you like wrestling. There's this whole docu-series, like 10 parts on Vince McMahon, the creation of the WWF.
I would love that.
It's unbelievable.
Because you said it right. WWF.
Yeah, not the WWE. No,
Hulk Hogan. We were Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
Man, Jake the Snake Roberts. There's just some good times in there that you just remember. I'm
going between either I want to go as Scotty Scheffler arrested with an orange jumpsuit and a green jacket and then with the handcuffs on, or I want to go as the Costco person that checks you out when you leave. That sits there with the receipt, Okay. They look at your cart that you have like $5,000 worth of stuff in it. And they look at it for 2 seconds. Yep, you're good.
They don't really look. Yeah, I agree. That's creative. I like.
That's not bad.
That's going to be a heck of a surprise to see which way you go.
It is. There he is, Jake Dickert. Appreciate it. It's all brought to you by Cougar Collective. Again, your home base for all NIL opportunities, connecting student athletes. Join the 1890 Club for as little as $18.90 a month. Visit cougarcollective.org. Also, big thanks to Flat Stick Pub. And go visit flatstickpub.com. Again, you can check this episode up at YouTube. Listen to it, Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast. And, of course, up at pucksports.com. Jake, appreciate it. Have a great bye. We'll see you in a few weeks.
I appreciate you having me on, Puck. Go Cougs.